And it was interesting. I flew down here this morning, and as we were landing in San Diego, there was a child sitting in the seat in front of me with his forehead pressed against the window. And as we were landing, he said, "Wow, look at all the palms." It's like, it'd be nice if we could come up with some kind of sustainable strategy that we can all engage in to make sure that it continues to happen for kids. So first of all, I won't spend too much time on the background because it's already been very well covered by Mark and John. But basically, this palm weevil, is a vector of red-ringed nematode, which can kill palms quicker than the weevil just by itself. And all of this came to our attention in December of 2010, when during this red palm weevil or Bonita's outbreak in Laguna Beach, a resident of Tijuana reported the South American palm weevil in that area. So in February of 2011, we deployed traps near the Mexican border. And in May of that year, we caught the first weevils. And fortunately, none of them had the red-ringed nematode. But because of those finds, we put out more traps in a 2.5-mile radius around the area. This is a weevil here. You can see a lot. It's big, over an inch long, the size of a couple pennies. And we also decided at that point that we needed to know, we know this beetle's in San Ysidro. Where else is it in California? How has it been here a long time, spreading around? We didn't know anything. So we thought it'd be a good idea to do a bunch of trapping throughout the state. USDA agreed and funded a statewide survey. So we put out a total of 997 traps in 2012 and 2013. And they were distributed, as you can see here, some as far north as Sonoma County. These traps were all put in the palm-producing areas. So we had 10 in Sonoma County, 20 in Alameda, 30 in Santa Clara, and 10 in Santa Cruz. And then good coverage, I would say, down in Southern California, 20 in Santa Barbara, 49 in Ventura, 73 in Los Angeles, 25 in San Bernardino, 200 in Orange, 210 in Riverside, 200 in San Diego, and 150 in Imperial. And those 997 traps were out for about 2 years, and what we caught just to mention the trap here again. Basically, it's a plastic bucket with burlap wrapping around the outside and attached to a tree. We've got one out here that Mark bought as an example, a homemade one that you can put together with stuff from Home Depot. If you're like me, you always end up with a bunch of drill bits. You never know what you're going to use for anything, so maybe it's a good chance to try out some of those larger drill bits. And inside the trap, there's a killing preservation agent. So it's a 50-50 solution of a low-tox antifreeze and water. And then there's a species-specific aggregation lure called conventional lure for South American palm weevil. And in our traps, we're also looking for the red palm weevil, or vulneratus, which has the same pheromone lure, fortunately. So we had that lure as well. And then there's ethyl acetate, which acts as a lure enhancer. And we also have a food source, which we use apples for. So if the weevils are hungry, they may be attracted to that. And just to go back, they land on the outside of the bucket, attracted to it. They latch onto the burlap and crawl in these holes. Here's an example of everything you did. So it seems to work pretty well when you're in an area with a lot of weevils. As Mark has demonstrated in the park nearby. The traps, we place them on the side of palm trees. There's a wire that goes around the tree and the trap puts on. We typically place them 6 to 7 feet above the ground so they're out of reach of children. And the traps are placed on any palm except for the Canary Island date palms. And that's just because if someone's tree gets infested, you don't want them to blame you. And the traps can also be placed on non-host trees. And what did we find in all this trapping? Well, by July of 2011, we had 5 South American palm weevils in San Ysidro. By August of that year, we trapped one in Calexico over in Imperial County. And throughout the whole period, we ended up with 110 in San Diego County and 2 in Imperial County. We didn't find any infested trees at the time, and all of the weevils that we trapped were within 10 miles of the international border. And at the same time, in Texas, in May of 2012, some of the South American palm weevils were found, and they were later found in Arizona as well. So at this point, it was kind of USDA perspective that these beetles were were just coming across the border from Mexico, and unless Mexico was going to do something about it on their side, they weren't going to be able to stop that. But they weren't established here yet. So we removed the traps after 2013, although we have been in funding to put those traps out again next year, request from Farm Bill funding. The beetles that we trapped in San Diego County, the vast majority were down right along the border near San Ysidro. There were a couple of outliers up north, one in Bonita, close to where we'll be going today, and then one actually up pretty close to this park here. That was back in 2013, so we'll get over 9 months, never know what to find. Over in Imperial County, both of the beetles trapped were right across the border. And just to mention the value of official samples. So there's an infinite number of possibilities of how an insect that's found here can get into California. For example, a lot of students, put together entomology collections and will trade specimens with students in other places. And so it happens every 2 or 3 years. We'll see someone will report something to us from a student collection that's not supposed to be in California. But we can't take any action on that because we don't know if it really came from California or not. And that happened with the brown marmorated snake bug a few years ago. Somebody at Davis had one in their collection, and it turns out it probably was from Davis because we've been finding a bunch of them around the Sacramento area. But so in order to be an official sample that the government or regulators can take action on, it needs to have a distinct chain of custody from the site where it's collected through the counties and up through all the way to USDA eventually. All of the weevils that we trapped in California were tested for red ring nematode and found negative. And this is done at our lab in Sacramento. So the weevils, in order to test them for the nematode, they have to be preserved in water. It's that alcohol either kills the nematodes or makes them impossible to identify. And then the lipids in the trap is kept in a separate container. And when it gets to the lab, the water from the sample is examined for nematodes, and the weevils are also rinsed. And the rinsate from that is examined for nematodes. Yes?
So the ones you catch in the trap that have antifreeze on them are no bueno for testing?
No, I think the antifreeze works well. I think it's just the alcohol. Something about, I know it destroys DNA. Maybe that's the reason they don't want it used. Actually, that may vary depending on if it's denatured alcohol or not. When I first started with in California, I was sending specimens to the lab, and they called me eventually, and they're like, "Are you using denatured alcohol?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." They're like, "Yeah, it's not working. The DNA is, not denatured or isopropyl alcohol." So I don't know the exact chemical reasons, but yeah, water is the best way to preserve them. And then also they can dissect the weevil and tease out the genital capsule in the lab and check that for nematodes as well. And then if any nematodes are found, they can be identified morphologically and by sequencing the DNA. But so far we've found none. Visual survey. We've done a lot of visual survey around the Laguna Beach area where we have the red palm beetle. And just a little bit for South American palm beetle. And for visual survey, the easiest thing to do is if you see a tree that looks a little bit odd, you can check around the base of it. If it's heavily infested, there are a lot of these fallen cocoons around the base. Even around trees that lots of entomologists had already looked at, I was able to find more of them in the brush. You may find dead adults or pieces of dead adults. And you can inspect the crown of the tree with binoculars work well, or if you have good eyes, to check for the leaf bases, see if they've damaged or if any fronds are clipped. Here's an example of what a clipped frond looked like. You saw a lot of these pictures in Mark's talk, I believe. More damage to the leaf sheath from the larvae. Damage to the leaf base as well. And finally, missing crowns of trees may be signs of advanced infestation. This was one of the trees in Laguna Beach that we've seen a lot of pictures of today. Eventually, the tops of the trees are gone. And finally, if it's a really advanced infestation too, there may just be missing trees. You go in a heavily landscaped area, it's not like some of the slides we've seen earlier, but residents might not be a dead tree in their front yard, you might have somebody to take it out. And in that case, you may see a stump, or a lot of people grind them down, but there's not much evidence at all that there was a tree there. And you saw some images that Mark had too from Google Earth. This is one tree here that is Insania cedro, taken from the front and the back. And from the front, you can see on the left, looked like a pretty healthy tree in February of 2015. By February of 2016, it was slowly dead. And John Cappuccino talked a lot about the unfavorable conditions that the red palm weevil found in Laguna Beach. And it could be quite different here in San Diego, either both with better environmental conditions for the weevils in general, and also it could be that the species of weevil is better adapted to our conditions as well. So I don't know how much value there is in doing a lot of visual survey because of how quickly the trees are declining. Other drawbacks to visual survey, it's time consuming. You can cover a much larger area with traps than you can with, or you spend a lot of time in one area with visual survey. It's expensive. John pulled a lot of strings and got us a lot of free services when we had the palm weevil in Laguna Beach, but if you find an infested tree or something that looks suspicious, you really have to go up there and take a look, or maybe drones will work now. And also it's a bit risky, not just to the employees or professionals that you're sending out there, but if you close the lane of the freeway, there could be an accident, or if you're doing a visual survey and you notice a tree that looks suspicious in someone's yard, what's your obligation to tell them, if eventually fronds could fall on their car or worse. And finally, that's all I have. If you have any questions about trapping. Yes?
Is there somewhere we can download the instructions to build the traps?
I'm sure we could arrange that. I don't know if it exists right now, but that's something that we could add.
Specifically where to get the lures, I think the rest is kind of...
Okay, yeah, and if you give me your contact information, I can find out where we got this from and give it to you. Yeah, anyone else?
What's the speculation on the couple that were trapped in Ventura County?
What I think happened is they got spread all over Mexico. But, John and Mark talked about it a little before about how there were impenetrable, deserts and stuff. They kept the beetle further south of Mexico in the past. I think it probably moved around in a retreat trade of palms within Mexico. But that's just my speculation.
So maybe, do you think that came from Tijuana into the interior, from the south of Mexico?
That's a good question. I don't know. Yeah.
The study you did was 900 something traps. How often did you replace the pheromone levels?
Muhammad, how often did we replace the pheromone lures and the traps? When we had our surveys, how often did we have to replace the pheromone lures?
3 months.
3 months? Yeah, every 3 months. Yes?
So it looks like you have few foci infestation. Does that mean that eradication is impossible?
It's impossible to eradicate it within California, I would say, because it can keep coming across from Mexico. If they, like USDA said, if Mexico were to take some action on it, on their side of the border to keep it further south, then maybe we could control or eradicate it there. I don't know.
Is it considered a far enough separation from Tijuana, Mexicali, to the interior parts of Mexico where it's more established? Or to get eradicated, would it be a natural corridor, would it have to be introduced artificially?
I don't know Mexico that well. There's probably a lot of palms planted along the western coast now. I don't know. So it may be able to spread out naturally. Yes.
I don't know how true it is, but there were telling me that some of the drug lords have compounds that nobody can go into. So no one knows, they'll never be surveyed.
Yeah, that's a good point. John mentioned that there's some big compounds, by drug lords and whatever that nobody can go into and will never be surveyed on that side of the border. And I don't know if it's drug lords or just maybe some of our leaders or something. I don't know. There's a number of possibilities. And that could be the case. There could be think of one of the USDA, well, I'm not sure if it's USDA or Mexican government fruit fly rearing facilities. They ended up buying an armored truck to move their flies around in. Yes.
What is the time frame between the Weevil hitting, the first Weevil hitting the concrete until the first physical signs of deterioration?
I don't know. Yeah, okay, the question is, what is the time period between when a weevil first attacks a palm tree and begins to show symptoms?
So is that something we need to put in the parking lot for more research on potentially then?
Basic biology of the weevil?
Yeah.
Right, maybe the weevils were there for a year before they showed much symptoms, I don't know. It probably depends on like with a lot of the other wood-boring beetles that you see, it's kind of like that leading edge infestation that I was mentioned earlier, where if you get a bunch of weevils attacking the tree at once, it's a lot different than if you just have a weevil here and there.
So here's an example of one that we've taken very closely. January 2016, the palm looked pretty good. By July, 7 months or so later, crown's falling off, and by 9 months later, it's looking pretty flat on the top. So I think Jason's right, probably within 8 to 12 months of going from looking normal to like that. No, so we don't know when that healthy looking palm was infested. It might have been the day after that photo was taken, it could have been 6 months before the photo was taken. Yeah, it would be really useful. Yep. The early detection of infested palms is the holy grail for palm weevil research right now. It's a big thing in Saudi Arabia because they don't want to cut down date palms that don't have an infection because they're going to lose a lot of money from that. And there's no really good early detection technologies right now. Okay, any more questions for Jason? Yes, one over here.
One of the questions I had was the effect of temperature on the development of the larvae. It appears that most of the damage is done by the larval stage, right? And that was, those photos there would suggest that our winter or cool season temperatures aren't affecting development, because you had a big decline during the winter months, January to June. So have you observed anything there in terms of the normal seasonal temperatures on development?
Right. Is that question for me or Jason?
I was just thinking, with these, earlier was mentioned, these beetles pretty much create a microclimate within the tree. I don't know if there's heat produced by that fermentation process or what, but I think it'd be interesting to have a temperature probe inside infested trees and monitor that.
Yeah, my feeling is that they will come through cold weather fine because they're basically living in an insulated container. And that fermentation process, when it starts, it does generate some heat, which is probably going to protect them from severe cold.
So is that a parking lot item to do more temperature research?
Yeah, that would be really helpful.
Might affect slide 3.
Yes, so John's right. So if it's cold outside the tree when the adults are hanging around, they may not be as willing to fly. So that may slow down the spread of the weevil quite a bit. That's a really good point. But inside the tree, I don't think there's going to be a massive delay in their development. Okay, last question.
Do you think there'd be any validity in actually looking into pheromone detection of the actual animals themselves? Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah. So the question is, should we be doing pheromone monitoring for these weevils? And absolutely we should. We've got the traps, the pheromone's commercially available. It works pretty well. And part of what we want to do, as Jason mentioned, with Farm Bill money, with the help of the CDFA and the USDA, is start getting these traps out there. Because these will find the weevils. Us going up into the trees, we just don't have a chance of finding
Well, I
the
mean,
ants.
detecting the pheromone that they get, they're leaving trails inside.
Oh, true. Right, so maybe we should have a smart nose attached to your phone. You put it on a selfie stick and lift it up. That's the trick for you. Now that technology is available, but it's not around for the Weevil right now. But that's, you know, these crazy ideas aren't that crazy with the technology we've got right now, and the technology that's sitting in your pocket, man. It's pretty powerful stuff.